So far, I have created two virtual machines. Both are running Windows Server 2019. Now I want to convert them to primary domain controller and backup domain controller. And because this is the first domain controller, I also have to create a forest. I will call it megax.at. So without further ado, let me show you how to create the first domain controller. I'm jumping to the server. In the search, just look for the server manager. Make sure you are logged in with your administrator user. Wait a second until the console is fully loaded. Go to Manage, Add Roles and Features. Skip the first page, click Next. Role-based or feature-based installation. This is telling you that the installation will be happening on the local server. That's fine. Click Next. Here you have to select Active Directory Domain Services. Here you can take your time and read what features and roles are automatically going to be installed along with the Active Directory, because you cannot install Active Directory without these features also being installed. So click Next. Take your time and see the features that are going to be installed, like group policy management, remote server administration tool. We are just fine with the default ones. Click Next. Next again, and here it's asking if you want to reboot the server after this installation is done. We don't need to do the reboot because we are going to promote the server to domain controller after the Active Directory domain services are being installed. So we just click next, and this will take some time. I will pause the video. I'll come back. As you see, the installation progress, it's done. You can take some time and read about the features that were installed. If you have noticed, there is a small yellow signal that's telling you can click here to promote this server to domain controller, which we want to do. And as I mentioned earlier, because this is the first domain controller, we don't have a forest yet, so we have to create a new forest. We have also to give it a name. I will use megax.at and click Next. The wizard will take some time and check if this forest already exists, just to make sure that there is no error in our wizard. So here we have to choose the functional level of our domain. And this will be also the functional level for our forest. I will leave it to 2016. It's also telling that the DNS and the global catalog capabilities are going to be installed on the first domain controller. That's fine. And we have to set a password for our directory service restore mode. It's good to remember this password for the future. Click Next. We don't have to do any DNS delegation because this is the first domain controller and we don't have any other zones. Click Next. The wizard will try to figure out the NetBIOS name. It will take some time. And it found it automatically. That's fine. Click Next. And it's good to remember where our sysvolume and the NTDS folders are stored, and those are only the default locations under C Windows. Click Next. So it's checking the prerequisites. This will also take a second. So checking the prerequisites is also done. Everything looks fine. I can finally click on install and start promoting our server to domain controller. After this is done, my user will be logged off and the server will be rebooted. So here we go, the server is already rebooted and it asks me to log in using my Megax administrator account. This is a good indication that the domain controller is already created. So I gave the password and the server manager console is launched. If I wait a couple seconds, I can also check and make sure that the DNS role is properly installed on my first domain controller. So here we go. The DNS role is showing up. Everything looks fine. If I click on DNS, it shows that the DNS is installed on server 1. And if I go to DNS manager, it shows me that the DNS is running on server 1 and it already created forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. And under the forward lookup zone, I can see that a host A record is already created for the server 1 with the IP address of my server. That's it. Everything looks fine. In the next video, I will just repeat the same steps, almost the same steps, making server 2 a backup domain controller in my forest. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.